Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion, plays Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. We've been having some styling and profiling runs. You know, I never understood that expression. 940 VY6T. Look at that rate of fire stat, that's fantastic. Glass cannon, not fantastic, but there are ways of making it work. What I'm thinking about right now is that we use it if we get a respawn. Like, my dream is that we get 9 lives, but if we can get, like, Judas's shadow in the deal with the devil, and then we could use glass cannon, and if we come back to life, so be it, right? We'd be happy about it because we'd get double damage, but if it didn't come back to life, even better, because we'd actually have, like, quadruple damage until we bit the dust anyway. But we're not using it yet, it's a little too scary. What does stylin' profilin' mean? Because stylin', obvious. Looking fresh. Got his behind looking dang good, though. Yeah, hello, Isaac. But we're not going to do that, okay? Wait, there should be bombs in there. Thank you. Profiling. I don't know. You know, are you talking about profiling in a racial profiling sense? Are you... There's a double tinted rock there. Are you driving around, stereotyping drivers based on the color and contents of their skin, not the strength or weakness of their character, and also their, you know, physical agility at driving? Are you profiling, like, from a software development standpoint? We're gonna take a little snapshot of your settings. That's your user profile. Ooh, 0.64 speed. What does style and profiling mean? You know what? It's a great question. It's not, but we're gonna come up with a great answer as soon as we finish this room. What do we got? Pair throw. Wish I had that about 2 seconds ago. What does stylin' and profilin' mean? Stylin', profilin', and buckwilin', someone who has it together, is in the zone, on all that, or got it together. Look good, so fresh, and so clean. That's it. Apparently Ric Flair invented it? I had no idea. Which means it's probably just a happy little accident. Fair enough. I always thought Will Smith said it in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song. He's styling, profiling, acting all cool, shooting some b-ball on the outside of the school. A couple of guys who are out to no good started causing trouble in the neighborhood. We're all aware of how that song goes. It's a landmark of the hip-hop genre. The hip-hop genre. You've never heard of it? It's like when I think of gangster rap, you know, early NWA, you gotta count it. And then probably right after that, it's Mambo No. 5, followed by Will Smith's Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song. NL, did you see that Will Smith released a rap song on the internet where he goes hard and tackles his detractors who say that he doesn't swear and has thus gone soft? I did see it, and I gotta admit, it was okay. I really feel like, you know, all you need to have a successful rap career is for me to say you can't rap. This is what happened to Bear Taffy, and if you haven't, you know, remembered, I'm gonna stick with glass. Never mind, I'm gonna stick with the deck of cards, and I am an idiot. But Deadshot is amazing! Hey, back off, mister. I insulted Bear Taffy. I said he was a rapper that is less of a rapper than Will Smith. And I said I do not respect Will Smith as a rapper either. And all of a sudden, you know, both Bear Taffy and Will Smith rising from the ashes of rap nothingness. No offense meant to Bear Taffy, of course, who at least had a history in rap music. Just joking. Will Smith, of course. Who can forget Miami? Real talk, Miami was the first song, maybe the only song I've ever requested from a radio station. And I was originally going to request, you know, this is back when you call the line. So I didn't always have this phone anxiety. This is back when you called the line. I called, and I was originally going to request Pretty Fly for a White Guy by The Offspring. It was my favorite song of all time up to that point. Since then, it's been replaced by, of course, You Raise Me Up by Whitney Houston. Covered by Il Divo. You know what? I'm willing to give this a chance. I'm willing to go down, and this is a little bit egregious. I'm willing to go down to 6 black hearts to make that happen. We got the speed upgrade so early that we didn't have to, but I was willing to go for it. Just know that for a fact, okay? Let's go. Look at this. Dream is alive. So I was originally going to request Pretty Fly for a White Guy, but wouldn't you know it, somebody else on planet Earth had the bright idea to request Pretty Fly for a White Guy. All of a sudden, they're playing it while I'm calling the radio station. They pick up 102.7 The Border. How can I help you? I would really like to hear Miami by Will Smith. Miami by Will Smith. Let me check and see if we got that one. Yep, turns out it's #1 in 15 countries. We'll try to put that right on for you. And then, of course, when they played it, I was like, they're playing that because of me. I went to school the next day. You know, did you hear Miami last night at 7:51 p.m.? That's because I requested it. No, it's because, you know, it was a big song. Party in the city while the heat is on, all night on the beach till the break of dawn. How can you not love it? I don't even, do they still do requests on the radio? I've never heard it here. Sorry, I just literally scratched my microphone with my fingernails. Why not, dude? Every time I say why not, there's an obvious answer, by the way. Why not take a deal with the devil item? Because it's bad and not worth it, but it does put us on permanent Spirit Heart and Polaroid invincibility, eventually, when we get the enabler for that. This could be 9 lives. If it's 9 lives, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be a little bit salty. Salt inbound. Because this would have been a fun way to tackle Glass Cannon, but such is life. You know, it's not like the run is bad. It's actually very, very, very good. I actually think the boldest play we made, bar none, was the attempt to get Blood Bag, which actually worked out. That saved us, because it's 0.3 speed. Puts us on that level where pretty soon Taurus might be able to activate on some rooms, and then after that it might activate as soon as we enter a room, if we can keep getting some speed upgrades. So things are looking great, but anyway, I digress. I don't think I've ever heard a request on a Vancouver radio station, but it could also be the radio stations. I don't know, maybe it's still a thing that's done. You know, like a free jukebox. I do not know, though. Does anyone even listen? I might be the only person that listens to the radio at all. And I listen to the radio probably on average of about 15 minutes a week. And that's not me being facetious. I'm lucky enough, you know, the office is right next door. So I, you know, walk myself into the kitchen, aka the coffee shop. I say, I'll have a coffee, please. And then they say, pour it yourself. Your arms aren't broken. And then I pour myself a coffee. And then I go into the office and, you know, don't listen to the radio too much en route that way. When I go to the grocery store, I usually listen to the radio because the grocery store is very close. I used to pair my phone to my car so I could listen to 1 or 2 songs while I drove. But then we added a second Bluetooth device to the car. Yeah, why not? And so now when I get in, it goes, Kate's iPad or iPod was not detected. And I go, yeah, no, it's because you want Ryan's Samsung Galaxy. And then I go to pair device and it goes, which of these 3 Samsung Galaxies is it? And I always choose the wrong one the first 2 times. So, stop that. I think Infamy saved me there. I've decided it's just not worth it, because, like, I'll be at the grocery store by the time, you know, I get the thing set up. So now I listen to the radio, and the way it usually goes is I turn it on, top 40, don't recognize the song, turn it to LG 1043, but it does something that makes me realize it's not the right radio station for me, which is from 1 hour between 9 and 10 p.m., it becomes the LG 1043 Blues Hour, which I just do not care about. It's not that I don't like blues, okay? It's just that when I'm in the car, I'm not trying to discover new music. I'm trying to find a radio station that primarily plays... Dude, Marrow. It was all marrow. And you're alone. Anyway, I'm trying to find a song that I know that can distract me from the fact that, you know, one sneeze could, you know, leave me in a terrible position. In Traction. You know, I want a radio station that only plays Jeremy by Pearl Jam. Jeremy FM. Come on. Come on. We're all friends here. You can pay out. And I'm going to take Sister Maggie. Why not, dude? Heading down to the next floor. Run is very, very, very good. Could be a little bit better. We can hold a second spacebar item now. Anyway, I'm sure you've heard enough of my radio antics. We still have, Are You a Wizard? Harry? AKA the reference to the extremely dated internet meme, Are You a Wizard? What a classic. Whoever thought, oh, you fool! Whoever thought that that would not be hilarious one day. The other thing that's weird about living in a big city, I never experienced this when I was growing up, because I lived in a very, you know, kind of culturally homogenous area. Now, sometimes I'll be flipping through radio stations, and you can tell your car to scan, and then at random intervals it'll stop, and you'll get like a huge burst of static, like, and it's like supposed to work, but doesn't really. I routinely come across radio stations that are speaking French, Chinese of some variety, Punjabi, Korean. It's out of control. It's always eye-opening, because I'm like, wow, radio, I thought was dying, but apparently it's still popular enough that you can offer, like, many different languages in a big city. It's kind of cool. I really thought it was like magazines, where, like, in today's day and age, I go to the grocery store, and there's, like, 6 magazines. When I was a kid, the magazine section was, like, the premier station in the grocery store. It was that and potato chip aisle. There were like 14 different gaming magazines. There was a gaming magazine specifically for every platform. You could buy like a Neo Geo magazine. The magazines had CD-ROMs in them sometimes that gave you free demos, well, you paid for the magazine, of course, of games that you know, were really interested in. And sometimes back then, the demos were so good that they actually did the games a disservice, because you just decided, I'm never going to buy it, I'm just going to play the demo over and over. That's what happened to me in Parappa the Rapper. The demo I got on my demo disc was so good. I played the kick punch, it's all in the mind level. If you want to test me, I'm sure you'll find the things I'll teach you is sure to beat you, but nevertheless, you get a lesson from teacher now. I played that level so many times, my mom was like, are you ever going to get the game? I'm like, nah, I've already seen it all. Why would I buy a game I've already got 20 hours of? 20 hours played in, I should say. Anyway, those were the days, and also not the days. I used to read a lot of magazines. This is a real story. I don't know if I've ever told this one. I was a very anxious kid. Surprise, surprise, right? That didn't stop me from phoning 102.7 The Border to request Miami by Will Smith, but it's a different era, you know? So I took swimming lessons, and I was afraid to dive into the pool. Not from the diving board. I was afraid to dive from, like, well, I mean, it was a diving board, but it was like a small diving board. It wasn't the high dive. And in order to pass whatever lesson level of swimming I was on, you had to be able to jump off the diving board into the water. It's not like a big deal. Literally, it was almost the same height as the pool itself. So you jump off the diving board, get a little distance to go in the pool. I bartered with my parents. God bless them. And they said if I jumped off the diving board, they would get me a 1-year subscription to Nintendo Power. And that was actually like a huge motivation for me. I jumped off the board, I got the subscription to Nintendo Power. I used to, like, again, back in the 1990s, you have to remember, electricity was free as far as I was concerned. I would get out of the shower as a kid, and then, like, dry off, then lay on my towel and just read Nintendo Power for, like, 2 hours. That was my dream, like, 6 to 8 p.m. on a weeknight. Reading the same Nintendo Power article over and over and over. Later, I looked at the front of the Nintendo Power magazine, and I realized I'd been ripped off because the subscription in Nintendo Power was actually like $19. And even as a child, I could save up $19. I could find a way. So I always felt a little ripped off. Then my parents did me a great disservice by giving me a cheap subscription to a magazine for doing something I should have done for free. See, that's where we turn it around. Dank Depths 1, we're like exactly on pace. What was I talking about? Anyway, we were wearing an onion on our belts, which was the style at the time, etc., etc. I used to have a subscription to official PlayStation magazine and Nintendo Power, which I think is how I became a centrist on every important political issue. I grew up refusing to even commit to a single console. I was just like, you know what? There's good games on both sides. Never got official Xbox magazine, though. There was just a little bit... It was in the internet era. At that point, I was going to websites that had, like, cool neon green banners and stuff like that. And then now, I don't know, how many magazines still run? Game Informer still runs, but it's, like, owned by GameStop. And I always hear that there's, like, European magazines that still run. But, you know, Europe's... It's a foreign place, you know? To me, at least. They eat soft cheeses there. What's up with that? Always thought it was weird. Oh, we're in banter territory now. North America loves cheese. Until I was like 19 years old, I think I had only had about 8 cheeses in my entire life. Cheddar, mozzarella, American cheese, Monterey Jack, that was popular for a while. I'm not counting pizza cheese, because that should be mozzarella. That doesn't feel right. I'm also not counting Cheese Whiz, aka spray cheese. Cheese that comes in a can. I might have only had like 5 cheeses. I definitely had Gouda. I definitely had a Havarti. But that was it. I might have had like a baked brie once in my life. When my parents accidentally went to a restaurant fancier than they intended to take their, you know, 11-year-old child to. We eat so much cheese over here. Like, cheddar sells around the clock. But it wasn't until I started going to these bougie grocery stores and pretending to be like a sophisticated member of society, I started to really expand my cheese palette, you know? Find out I really like some cheeses that might be described as funky. I love a good blue cheese, even though sometimes it makes me feel like I'm getting a fever. I don't know if anybody else has that. I think, you know, your body's like, hey, just so you know, I'm gonna make your face a little flushed because this is mold. This is poison. You're not supposed to eat this. And I'm like, yeah, shut up. Give me another cracker. Give me another biscotto. Why are you broken? Also love like any cheese that comes from an animal you didn't know a cheese could come from. Sign me up. Goat, sheep, lamb, horse, human, whatever. I'll take it. I'll try it. I'm gonna try Cheesual. I'll try any cheese once. We have weird conceptions in North America of what makes a food weird. Now, I want to point out, they're not that weird. But we do think like a moldy cheese, people go like, a lot of people, not everybody obviously, because blue cheese is pretty popular here. They go like, ooh, it's gone bad. You know, like 30% of the foods we eat have gone bad. Cheese has gone bad, just in a controlled fashion. Yogurt's gone bad. I always think that pickles have gone bad, but, you know, pickled foods are actually just extremely well preserved. It's a different situation, but still, like, it's not its original form. Same thing like, when I was growing up, at least in Canada, small town Canada, sushi had not yet really taken hold. Like, I'm pretty sure my hometown had no sushi restaurants. This was just horrible. Until I was, like, in my early teen years, at least. You'd always hear people say things like, why would I pay the restaurant to serve me raw food? I can just stay home and not cook food myself. Is that how it works? I didn't realize that we can just discuss food in that fashion. Like, I didn't think when I went to a restaurant, I always thought I was paying for food. I didn't realize that there was like an itemized receipt, which is, yeah, you're buying the ingredients, but you know, it also, the heat for the gas oven and the, you know, you get the idea. The idea that somehow sushi should be cheaper because heat is not applied to it was very ignorant, but also very common. And that's okay, you know. Now sushi is not a weird food. Not considered a weird food. I don't know if there is any weird food that's really like popping off right now. We get all the trendy foods here and I eat them all because that's the kind of person I am. Mostly I just love eating almost anything. Like the other day, Kate was like, I'm starving, but I have to go to rehearsal. And I said, hey, I got these like protein bars in the drawer that you can eat. And she was like, I don't think I'll like them. And I said, are you starving? Because I've been hungry, okay? And when I'm hungry, I'll eat anything. If I describe myself as starving, I'm cracking like a pepper grinder into my mouth to get some kind of relief. That's the level, like, this body wants to live, okay? But I think different people have different standards. Some people would rather be a little hungry than eat something they don't like. Or even, you know, when it comes to cravings. Let's check this out. Sure. They would rather, okay, kill both of these guys in a minute and then go to boss rush and teleport out. They would rather be a little bit hungry than eat something that isn't the #1 thing they want to eat. Like, you know, when people go like, oh, that really hits the spot. The only thing I want right now is like hard shell tacos. What about pizza? Nah, I'm sorry. It's the art of the deal. It's gotta be hard shell tacos. I've been there. There have definitely been days where I'm like, this is all I want to eat today. And that day is every day, and the food is pizza. Forget me now. Interesting. All of these are very interesting in their own way. I think I like Monstro's Lung. The one thing I will say is I don't know how it works with chocolate milk. It works amazingly. Fantastic. So many good options there, you know? All of those were actually worth taking in their own unique way. I like this, though. I like the setup we got. We can roll with it. This one's looking real good. So the whole point of that was like, North America is a very prudish place when it comes to food to some extent, I think. But I've inherited a lot of that. I'm like very open-minded when it comes to food, but sometimes I even find myself earning the judgment of my wife when I'm like, I don't want to eat that. There was a story I told on this show many years ago, like 2 years ago. We were in Japan, and we were next to like this temple, and there's a little hole-in-the-wall restaurant. So I was thinking, you know, parts unknown, we're gonna go check this place out, and it's gonna be amazing. And then we're gonna tell this awesome story about how we found this hole-in-the-wall restaurant that nobody had ever told us about on TripAdvisor, and it was incredible. We went in. I don't speak Japanese. Kate speaks Japanese. She's reading the menu, and she's like, oh, the restaurant, all they sell is odang, or oden in Japanese, which is like steamed foods. It's like a broth that they're simmered in. It's not steamed, really, so much as like... It's like boiled, but you know, it doesn't matter that much. And I was like, oh, cool. Usually, oden is fish, and I like it a lot. So I was like, I'll just take this one. Came out, it was something known as Shirataki, which is, in my colloquial tongue, I've just called it boiled triangles. It was a gelatinous, amorphous blob of matter that I believe was originally invented either to punish prisoners or for like aspiring models to fill their stomachs without actually intaking any calories, and then somehow through a cruel twist of fate and the universe playing a joke on everybody, some people like it, and these people made a restaurant that only sold that. I'm not messing with you. For both dessert, that was weird how we didn't have the rainbow effect there, for dessert, for lunch, for dinner, everything was made out of this stuff. It was 3 triangles and then some weird brown sauce on top of it and a little bit of mustard on the side. I ate one, and I said, full stop. It's the worst food I've ever eaten in my life. It's like the only food I might recommend you don't try. I've eaten insects. You eat a lot of weird stuff in Korea, right? That's right, the insects. I've eaten, chicken feet. I've eaten Arby's. I've eaten all the bad ones. And yet still, this was like the one that put me over the edge. So we were out at a Japanese restaurant in Vancouver like 2 weeks ago, and she was like, I'm gonna get the odang, and it's gonna be assorted. It's like chef's choice. So some of it might be fish, some of it might be, you know, like radish, etc., etc. Comes out, everything about it looks good, except there's one boiled triangle in the bowl. And she goes, do you want some? And I actually said, I'm a little ashamed of it. I said, I will not eat any food that has touched the triangle. And as, this was the implication, I didn't explain this part, but as the whole thing is served in a broth, everything has kind of indirectly touched the triangle. So no, I would rather be a little hungry than eat that. Now, if push came to shove, I'd get over it pretty quick, I think, but yeah, that's like the only food I can think of where I'm in that boat. Strengthen the devil. No, you don't understand. I want a Emperor card, please. So I guess everybody's got their price. I don't know. I feel like in North America we could be less prudish about foods. Like, is that one of those things, you know, if you're from Europe, is that one of those things you, behind closed doors, make fun of North Americans about? Like, sometimes you'll be talking to a Canadian or American, and they'll look at you sideways when you say, like, you know, you like kale. Or, like, Dan did it, and you're entitled, you know, personal preference. Don't let me get in your head about it. But we were talking about broccoli, and me and Malf were like, it's one of the best vegetables. And then Dan was like, nobody actually likes broccoli. People just trick themselves into thinking that they like broccoli because it's healthy. Nah, dude, it's delicious. If it's cooked properly. If it's boiled and then, like, served alongside the broccoli water that was cooked in, nah, I feel you. And, you know, that's how, like, I think a lot of foods get ruined that way. You know, from poor cooking measures. But a number of times we've been, like, you know, talking to somebody. We're West Coast hipsters, basically, right? We eat all the hipster foods. Routinely, I drink a juice that's green. And I don't even think about it as like a... You know, I'll walk into a store, and I'll be like, give me that green juice. Not because it's healthy, but I'm like, you know what? I could really go for some, like, pureed celery right now. I'm not a bastion of health and wellness. It's just, you know, your tastes change based on where you live, I'm sure. I think we could afford... I think the way what you should do is just the same way you set up allergy tests for people. You know, you get like the pin board, and you hit them with oh, here's some pollen, here's some ragweed, here's you know, bee toxin that they sting you with, here's blah blah, here's, you know, almond, here's peanut, here's apple. You know, they should do that, but like a tasting board for food. This is like what should happen after a baptism, and then you just have them try every single food. They can't leave until they try every food. Oh, but what if they don't want to eat the cauliflower? You know what? Grease the pot a little bit. Say, hey, you try the cauliflower, I'll get you a subscription to Nintendo Power, if it still exists. Which I know it doesn't. Sorry about this. I looked at it, I wanted to try to make it work. Because you don't know until you try. And it's gotta be good, too, right? Like, I don't know, if you just shove like a handful of raw kale in your mouth, you're probably not gonna like it. But, you know, a little kale, sesame oil, tahini, delicious. And I think it goes like that for cheeses, too. Stop. Like, I don't want to eat the cheese that's like, I don't know, the maggots fermented in the, you know, what are those things called? I'm trying to think. I can't even describe what I'm picturing. It's just, it's like a whole It's like a beehive, but you put cheese in it, and then it ferments there. What am I talking about? You know, like one of those beehive cheese fermenters. You've never seen one of those? I don't want any cheese that's fermented outside. One time we had a really fancy meal for my birthday, and when, you know, dessert options came, I was like, oh, the cheese plate. And then, like, this is a cheese that's kind of like, you know, buried in the earth to ferment. Ate it, not having it. Instead, I decided, give me the cheddar. The cheddar was delicious. I still hold my North American trappings, you know? When I go to the grocery store and I'm buying a cheese, I only buy a cool cheese if I want to impress people. If it's for me personally, I'm like, I go for the cheddar, but extra old, which is the North American cheese way of experimenting. You're like, oh, I would never eat a blue cheese. Instead, like, that's gross. You know it's gone bad. Instead, what I eat is a 22-year-old cheddar. Which I know, by the way. Dun, 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 dun. Not an American cheese. It's a British cheese. But, you know, we kind of... I'm not saying we own it. But it's like poutine. Poutine is not Canadian. It's Quebecois. But it's kind of Canadian. You know, we adopted it against your will. So it's ours now. Tough luck. Is this can't possibly be, and it wasn't, Bookworm. I think I'm gonna do one room to get a card and see what it is. And then we'll probably try to fight Mega Satan. Because the good news about this is that, like, if it all goes wrong, sure. We can just leave and then not fight Mega Satan, and everything will be hunky-dory. I guess we should have taken Monster Manuel in here. But I think we'll probably beat Mega Satan on our first try, and that's always nice and reassuring that we're not truly terrible at this game, and we can focus 0% on the game whatsoever and still make it out. Oh, dude, I forgot we had the 9-volt, which is going to be awesome for us. As is Deadeye, by the way. The 9-volt's going to be great. I actually don't really want to use it here. I want to wait until now. There we go. I don't want to waste one of our... I mean, our flies are going to be really good. So I don't want to trash them on, like, a garbage setup. A garbage enemy, I should say. Forgot that we had Tarot Cloth as well, which is incredible, because Strength gave us 2 HP, right? Not that it looks like we're going to need it. Alright, this is a fun run. We talked about, well, you know, we slandered my own people, which I think is, you know, I'm like the hunchback dude from 300. Leonidas! Dude, that's a surprisingly good impression. I warned you, Leonidas! You should have eaten the baked brie! I haven't heard that guy talk in probably like 3 years. I was like, where's that guy in the history books? I'm reading, you know, the Odyssey and the Aeneid and the Iliad. I've never read those. I tried to read Plato's The Republic once, when I thought I was an intellectual in high school, and, you know, you read the first, now is the treatise of the Conference of Nicaea in the culture of Rome, and I am Plato. You're like, this is, come get to the point, Plato. I get it. Back then, you lived till the ripe old age of 38, and you thought you had all the time in the world, but I'm a young buck. Respect my time. Make it a haiku or something. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. It helps it a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.